Oh my gosh, Cash Money Patel. He came with more receipts than the Walmart Return Center. What we're about to watch is Cash Patel giving the nation a report on the FBI's summer heat operation, which was an operation to tackle crime in this country. The numbers they pulled off in such a short period of time need to be appreciated.
Cash, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. What I'd like to do is just highlight some of the outstanding work that the men and women of the FBI have been doing. And thanks to your brave leadership and the mandate you were given by the American people to not only defend the homeland but crush violent crime, you tasked us with our great partners at the Department of Justice and the Attorney General and the Deputy Attorney General to start making arrests and bring prosecutions and safeguard our cities. And you said it, this is just the beginning. In just 7 months, I hope the media takes a look at every one of these charts because these are the best numbers for fighting crime in U.S. history, and it's only 7 months in. And to do that, our vehicle to do it of choice was Operation Summer Heat, which the FBI architected to go after violent criminals. And in just a 3-month span, you had 8,700 arrests of violent criminals. You had 2,200 firearms seized off the streets permanently to safeguard our communities. You had 421 kilograms of fentanyl seized. Just to put that in perspective, that's enough to kill 55 million Americans alone. You had 45,000 kilograms of cocaine seized, and thanks to our Department of Justice partners, you had 2,100 indictments in 3 months, from June to September alone. Mr. President, that in and of itself would be historic for a 4-year presidency. You did that in 7 months because you let good cops be cops, and you partnered us with the right people at the Department of Justice to put the handcuffs on and bring them to court and put them in prison. And if that weren't enough, when you look at the year, for the entire 7-month period that we're talking about here, if you look at the past 4 years of the Biden administration, 16,000, 17,000, 15,000, 15,000. That's the number of arrests year over year of violent felons in this country for the Biden administration. Mr. President, in 7 months, you have 28,600 arrests of violent felons in just 7 months alone.
That's crazy.
Because of your leadership and the dedication of the men and women at the FBI who want to go out there and do the job they were prevented from doing because
that's an 86% increase, by the way.
And this is what happens when you take out the fangs of weaponization. This number is historic by every metric. 28,000 people have been arrested, violent felons alone. And then when you go over there and look at some of these charts, if you don't mind, I'll just hop over here. Look at the metrics for not just violent crime, but the homeland. Mr. President, during your administration, the FBI has found and located 5,400 children. That is a 30% increase year to date over the last administration. Violent crimes against children arrests alone are up 10%. Gang arrests are up 210% in the last 7 months alone. And transnational organized crime, which Stephen Miller has been a great partner in, is up over 12% alone. These numbers are historic just as a snapshot. But just so people don't think we're focusing on violent crime alone, the national security mission, Mr. President, under your leadership has never been stronger. We have gone after espionage activities against our main counterparts in China, Russia, and Iran. In China alone, we've had over a 50% increase in espionage arrests alone and prosecution. In Iran, we have had a 50% increase, again, in espionage cases. And in Russia, we've had a 33% increase in espionage cases alone. When it comes to counterterrorism, year to date, we have 125 arrests this year versus 100 last year, year to date alone. And when it comes to the cyber criminal activities, which are some of the largest enterprises plaguing everyday Americans, we at the FBI have put out a mission to go after cyber criminals like never before. Last year, they had in total 191. This year, you already have 252 arrests. 52 arrests of violent cyber criminals who are stealing from senior citizens, who are violating our children's rights and freedoms, and who are violating everyday Americans. These programs are record. And two of the things I'll finish with that I'm most proud of, Mr. President, this FBI.
Guys, I have goosebumps. I have goosebumps. Because last year, the last message I sent to Charlie Kirk was, hey man, I am working right now to set up a call with you. That call never took place, but it was before the 2024 election. I messaged Charlie Kirk's team, his friends, that I needed to speak to Charlie Kirk because I thought of a campaign idea that I felt only he could convey to Trump and get it to be one of those viral policy positions Trump announced, like no taxes on tips, those really populist policies. And what I thought of was a dedicated task force to go after spammers and scammers. I wrote this down. It was very long, and the whole idea was Trump would, on day one, sign an executive order establishing a task force with elements from the FBI, the Secret Service, the Marshals, like all these groups, come together and focus so deeply on cyber crimes. Because I did a lot of research, and women have like things they're concerned about, like in terms of general well-being, like safety and whatnot. Women are less scared of being R-worded, you guys know what I mean, than they are of being scammed. They have more anxiety about getting scammed by an online fraudster than getting physically assaulted in that way. So I thought, man, this is like such a good campaign policy, because if Trump announces that somewhere, on day one, we're going to create the Spams and Scams Task Force. We're going to go after the spammers, after the scammers, and we're going to arrest them all, and we're going to pressure the foreign countries where these scammers live, like Nigeria, India, Brazil, etc., to do something in those countries against those scammers. Like, it was such a brilliant political idea. I did share it to a friend of mine who was close to Trump. I think he might have conveyed it to the campaign, but it was probably way too late. I needed to get it to Charlie Kirk, but he's gone now. But it's so beautiful hearing Kash Patel talk about that, because it's like, that's what I wanted. Because I got scammed. I got scammed. I know. I thought it only happened to old people, but it happened to me.
Fentanyl. As you know, it's a scourge that is killing our youth, 100,000 plus a year. To date, the FBI has seized 1,900 kilograms of fentanyl. That's enough lethal doses to kill 127 million Americans alone, to date. And if that weren't enough, Mr. President, you said we have to go after the worst of the worst. And you empowered our Department of Justice, our Attorney General, Deputy Attorney General, and the Deputy Director at the FBI led the charge, not just on summer heat, but he also led the charge to the FBI's 10 most wanted fugitives. These people have been on the run for years. And in 7 months, you captured not one, not two, not three, but 4 of the FBI's most top 10 fugitives. 4. And just to put that in perspective, Mr. President, the Biden administration captured 4 in all of 4 years. You're on 7, and we're going to get to 10. We're going to get to 10 of 10. This includes a lady who murdered her 6-year-old handicapped child and fled to India. We got her in 2 months. This includes a narco trafficker. This includes a sex trafficker. This includes another first-degree murderer and gangbang. These people were on the run because of the prior administration's reckless policies that destroyed our communities. And you came in and with a mandate said, go after the worst of the worst.
So happy. So happy about this. I've been pretty convinced that Trump's best work has been with the tariffs and closing the border. I think he has underperformed when it comes to deportations. They say the foreign-born population has dropped by like 3 million. I don't know if that's deportations. I think the deportations are drastically lower. Maybe the self-deportations are higher. And if that 3.1 million holds up, I think that's a great thing. If we get it to 15 million by the end of the 4 years, great. I was disappointed and disgusted with the Epstein handling, the whole situation. It was a cover-up. So I thought the Trump administration is doing really well with the border. They're doing really well with tariffs. They're doing really well with getting investments into the country. They're doing really well in like 90% of things except the 10%. I didn't think crime was on that list for things they were doing super well, because I want more activity, more optics. I want the National Guard in San Francisco. I want the National Guard in Chicago, and not just protecting federal buildings, but in a meaningful way. But today I'm going to recognize, based off these numbers, their work on crime is some of the best work. Absolutely. It's in there with Border Patrol. It's in there with tariffs. I love the tariff thing. I love it. I know it crushes the economy whenever he announces new ones, but it's actually really good to reshore manufacturing back in the country. It's really important. I love the trade policies. And the crime fighting goes up there now. Kash Patel, love it. Someday we'll know the truth about why they covered up the Epstein thing. For now, I'll compartmentalize and just focus on this. Streets are safer. Criminals are in jail. This is a beautiful thing. Thank you all very much for watching, and goodbye.